Hello. You have joined the Script Mistress for scene 33, our character archetype series, The Magician. I'm your host, Amber Bosworth, and I barely scratched the surface when I went into these 12 archetype series back all the way to scene 11. So if you want to go look and kind of get like a background on all of these character archetypes, please go back to scene 11 and listen to that. If not, enjoy The Magician. And I have the link to that in my show notes. Now, if you want to stay up to date on podcasts, events, and challenges, get on my mailing list at thescriptmistress.com. I also have this whole episode on video, thescriptmistress.com/scene 33. Yes, 33 for your enjoyment. And that is also where you can get the free download that I'm providing for this whole archetype series. It's good for any of the character archetypes and just use it for any character. It's just a great character builder. I'll mention more of that at the end of the episode. I also have the Script Mistress YouTube channel if you want to watch this. And if you are watching, thank you. Subscribe to my channel. I also have the link of that in the show notes. Now, I'm working hard still, about to announce the finalists for the May Ink to Screen screenwriting challenge. While you wait for that, that's going to be announced this Sunday. Please check out the June challenge. It is now open for registration and the fun starts next week. I run a monthly short screenwriting challenge where writers get 5 days to write a 5-page brand new screenplay, all based on an image prompt, usually an image, sometimes a quote, that starts they don't find that out until the start of the challenge. The winner gets $150, and every single writer that submits a completed script, maybe even doesn't have to be complete. You can just submit a script, gets detailed feedback on that script. This is all included in just the $15 entry fee. You can check it all out at thescriptmistress.com/ink to screen. The June challenge runs from June 21st to the 25th, right after the May finalists and winner are going to be announced on the 19th. So sign up now. All right, back to the episode. In case you forgot, here are the 12 character archetypes that we've been running through. We had the warrior, the child, the orphan, the creator, the caregiver, the mentor, the joker. Now we're going over the magician, and we just have the ruler, the rebel, the lover, and the seducer left after this. So excited to explore this character. So the magician is really great. It's the search for enlightenment can take some people a lifetime. The difference between this person and the mentor, back to the mentor, is that the magician has an agenda that they want everyone to follow. So they're not just mentoring one or two people, they just want everyone to follow it. Strengths of the magician: knowledge, strategy, historical understanding. Weaknesses of the magician: hubris, anger if they don't get their way, and sometimes warlike. The magician's motivation: they want power and organization. They see chaos in the world and know how to solve the puzzle. Now, some of the examples can be Thanos, Sherlock Holmes, and Saruman in Lord of the Rings. So I'll go over a little bit more of the examples towards the end of the episode. Now, as one of the most common character archetypes, magicians represent a wielder of great power in your story, also referred to as a seer, alchemist, prophet, or even the crazy old hermit who lives under the waterfall. The magician archetype is a critical part of many, though not all stories, let's put that in there, but many, especially those using the hero's journey. So it's really good to have a magician archetype, not necessarily a magician, whether or not you're writing a character who is an actual wizard. You might still have a magician in your story, or at least want to include one. So in this episode, I'm going to cover what the magician archetype is, what magicians do, the typical characteristics of magicians, and some examples of magicians in popular culture. And of course, going with screenplays and scripts and movies. Now, what is the magician archetype? The magician is a specific character archetype. Archetypes are not outlines or cookie cutter templates. I've mentioned this before for characters. They are more like collections of common experiences, traits, and actions to make them recognizable to most people, no matter where you are from. That means that a magician, or any other archetype for that matter, is immediately familiar to almost any reader or moviegoer or anybody in your story. It doesn't mean that you can be lazy with your writing, though. Now, a magician is a character who is all about power. So you think magician, think power. They can use that power for evil or for good, but they are always seeking more of it and are often viewed with awe and reverence by other characters in the book or movie or TV show. Now, the magician archetype often makes the seemingly impossible look easy. That's why it's like so attractive for other characters or in your story or other people to actually get in there and get to the magician or be a magician. While learning more about the magician in this episode, keep in mind that not all magicians are magical and or based on fantasy. That is where the archetype was initially developed, but non-magical magicians exist. Now, those magicians wield power in other ways: science, technology, intelligence, political influence, money, etc. Like Sherlock Holmes, his is power and knowledge through power through knowledge. Though whatever it is that gives them power, a magician has noticeably more of it than everyone else, to the point where it sometimes seems as if it is based on the supernatural. So like you watch Sherlock and it's like, oh, how did he get all that? And sometimes they equate that, depending on what version of Sherlock you're watching, that it has some kind of an external force to help with that. So what do magician archetypes do? While magicians can play a variety of roles in any story, they usually step in to do one or more of the following: prompt the hero into action. This is typical of the hero's journey, where the magician will be the one to tell the hero about the new quest and push them and tell them about the new quest and push them to leave their normal for that journey. Mentor the hero. Like the previous role, a magician can also act as a mentor to the protagonist. Like the previous role, this is another staple in the hero's journey. Since they are likely the most knowledgeable and powerful character in your story, it is fitting for them to be the one who mentors the hero. Keep in mind that a magician mentor would act very differently than a sage mentor, which is another archetype, which get into the mentor. Or you can go back and listen to the mentor episode as well if you want to look for that. Another way that they help step in to do one more of the following is be the villain. Because magicians are all about power, their thirst for more can drive them to become worthy villains and antagonists. Imagine a magician who starts as the mentor and becomes the villain through some sort of corruption arc. You don't need to include that for a magician archetype, but it just illustrates how magicians aren't binary in their roles. They have so many things you can do. There are other ways to use the magician archetype too. They can be secondary or tertiary characters who help your protagonist along the way. They can show up at the last second in a battle during the second act to turn the tides long enough to help the hero escape. Magicians are also great foils for characters obsessed with ambition if you can show the cost of achieving power. Now, what are typical magician archetype characteristics? Though every magician is unique in their own way, archetypes exist because of the shared experiences and recognizable patterns that we all know. As a result, your magician will likely have at least some of the following traits: clever, disciplined, intelligent, omniscient, omnipotent, perceptive, powerful, wise. Any or all of these traits. Magician archetypes don't have to be magical. I say it again. I hope you hear. Just because you hear magician does not mean that they have to be magical. Scientists, experts, geniuses, and more fall into this character archetype. Now, those are some pretty nice traits to have, right? But the power of magicians comes with a cost. You need that balance, often resulting in pitfalls like these: arrogance, hubris, indifference, obsession, selfishness. Now, in addition to these pitfalls, many magicians are detached from the everyday experiences of other characters. Because they are so powerful, rich, smart, they can't be bothered with normal experiences. For those of you writing fantasy in your scripts, magicians might even be immortal, bringing in a whole other layer of detachment. Because that's a huge thing when you think about immortality. The longer you live, the more detached you become from humanity and mortality. That being said, magicians can also be great teachers. As I mentioned when discussing their roles as mentors, it really depends on the life you breathe into your magician that will determine what their power has done to them and if they want to share that power. All right, now on to some examples. Now, popular culture loves magicians because they pursue that which most people at least want a taste of. So you get to use that magician as a great tool to kind of share that into your story and help your character move through. To that end, we've seen a lot of magicians in books, movies, TV shows, and more, even more lately. Hermione Granger, Harry Potter, quite on the nose. It's just a great example of a magician, and not just because she can do magic, right? From her introduction, we know that Hermione is very smart and dedicated to her studies, acquiring more power. She often picks up the slack for her less powerful friends and makes jokes about how little most consequences matter compared to not gaining more power. Now we could all have been killed or worse, expelled. Sorry, is a classic Hermione line. But for magician archetypes like her, death is a better alternative than living a life where you can't pursue more power. Kind of intense for a kid to say, though, right? Now, both Doctor Strange and Loki are examples of magicians from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And in fact, the MCU and comics are filled to the brim with magician archetypes. Doctor Strange, after losing all of the power he had as a famous surgeon, was relentless in his pursuit of knowledge and its resulting magical power to become a powerful wizard. This led to him becoming the Sorcerer Supreme. Now, Loki, on the other hand, desired power to get out of Thor's shadow. This led him to make a deal with Thanos and invade Earth with an army of aliens. His pursuit of power got a lot of people killed, put a real strain on his family dynamics, and ultimately ended with him being defeated. Loki was a good example of a magician whose obsession with power ended poorly. Now, here's one non-magic related. Believe it or not, Regina George, Mean Girls, is also an example of a magician. Now stay with me here. Regina thrives on the power she has at school and uses it to get everything she wants. People are in awe of her, want to be her, or want to defeat her. When Regina has that power taken from her, we see that she really doesn't have much left. So just one there. So create a magnificent magician. As one of the most prominent character archetypes, it is important for writers to have a thorough understanding of magicians. Successfully integrating a magician into your story will make your character easier to understand and relate to, saving you from spending pages upon pages establishing a particular trait, or worse, creating a flat character. Definitely don't want any of that. Now, I've provided the resources, kind of two of the articles where I got most of these great tips and help here, so you can check those out in my show notes. Now, writer's action. Again, same for the 12 character archetype series here. I've created the new worksheet for these 12 archetypes. Download that character archetype worksheet and fill it out for whichever archetype. We're working on magician. Why not? Get it there at thescriptmistress.com/archetypes or on the show notes on scene 33. Feel free to share any of your thoughts on the Facebook page on the Ink to Screen Facebook page, or email me at amber@thescriptmistress.com to get any extra help you'd like. Now, don't forget about the monthly screenwriting challenge. June is open for registration and the fun starts next week. You could win $150 and get feedback on your writing, all for just $15. Check it all out at thescriptmistress.com/ink to screen. Thank you for listening and or watching. If you're watching this, I truly value any feedback. If you have an idea for a podcast that might help, you can email me at amber@thescriptmistress.com. I definitely love any suggestion. Like and follow this show wherever you are listening. Talk soon. And until then, happy writing.